Sky Rush, Storm Runner, Candemonium, and now Wildcat's Revenge. Talk about a solid top 4. And you are about to learn all the stats for HersheyPark's newest roller coaster that is going to be opening in summer of 2023, along with all of my thoughts and some very insightful pros and cons for the project. And then you have to stay tuned because I have a very important question that I need you to answer about Wildcat's Revenge near the end of the video. So starting off with the stats for Wildcat's Revenge, you are looking at a 140-foot tall trussed lift hill, which is around 34 feet taller than the original Wildcat. And a funny thing about the name, and later in the video I'm going to share my thoughts on the Wildcat's Revenge name, but this new coaster will actually be the 3rd coaster at Hershey Park to use Wildcat for its name, because the original Wildcat opened up in 1923 and closed in 1945, and then the GCI Wildcat opened in 1996 and obviously closed in 2022 to make way for Wildcat's Revenge. So I find that very unique, and I really like how Hershey kept the Wildcat as part of the name. The new coaster is going to feature speeds of 62 miles an hour, plus 4 inversions and a track length of 3,510 feet. Now, compare that to the original Wildcat, which only had a track length of 3,183 feet. So I definitely feel like this coaster is going to be much longer, and you're really going to feel like it's a longer ride experience when you're riding it, even though the ride experience will seem a lot quicker. And if you follow me on Twitter, and if you don't, now's a great time to do so, I shared my final predictions on October 29th, and I said the ride will feature Iron Gwazi pacing, a 2023 opening, 3 train ops, and this coaster is going to be massive and over 4,100 feet of track. And I also guessed that the name would be Wildcat's Revenge. I just felt like how Kennywood used the name Phantom's Revenge for their Aero Coaster makeover. It just made sense, in my opinion, for Hershey Park to use the Revenge part of the name for this project. So now Pennsylvania offers 2 different coasters on either side of the state that utilize the Revenge part of the name. Now I will say my prediction for the height was way off, as well as the length, but 3 train ops, this coaster is going to be massive, and in fact 140-foot tall coaster is pretty massive, and the name is right. So I'm very pleased with my predictions aligning with the final product. But enough about that. Let's dive into the pros and cons for Wildcat's Revenge. First up, let's talk about the cons. And I gotta say, the name, maybe I actually like Wildcat's Revenge for a name. I really feel like it's better than like Iron Wildcat or Steel Wildcat. So while it's not as creative as I would have liked, it is much better than what it could have been. What do you think? Do you like the name Wildcat's Revenge? Be sure to let me know in the comments. And honestly, my only other con with Wildcat's Revenge would have to be, and I'm going to sound a little bit greedy for this, but I just wish it was like a little bit taller. Maybe 160, 170 foot tall. Obviously the truss lift is going to be massive, but I just feel like the 170 would have been a really sweet spot for this new coaster. But again, that's just my opinion. Now, before I get to the pros of Wildcat's Revenge, after you finish this video, you have to check out how I rank each Hershey Park roller coaster, obviously before Wildcat's Revenge, because you're going to be shocked about how I rank some of the coasters at Hershey Park. And you can find a link for that video in the description. Now on to the pros. The truss lift. I absolutely love RMC's truss lift hills. Iron Gwazi, Goliath, Zadra, they look phenomenal, and it makes the coaster look so much taller than what it really is, especially if there's a stall that is located underneath, or a barrel roll down drop like Iron Gwazi. So kudos to Hershey Park for removing the Wildcat's lift hill and replacing it with this giant truss lift hill. The colors. It appears that the old structure would just be the regular wood color, but then all the new structure is going to be painted black. Mainly the truss lift hill and a few other parts. And keep in mind, these are just renderings, so the colors could change. But one thing I really love here is a little detail, and that is it appears that the ties of the track are going to be black. So I really like how each tie, which is like every few feet, is going to be black, and then you have the beautiful red track on top of that. So this roller coaster is going to pop, especially with the truss lift hill that's going to be painted black with the red track. So I gotta say, I am digging the colors. The ride's gonna feature 4 inversions, which seems pretty typical for RMC. Most RMC hybrids offer like 3 to 4 inversions, so that's right up the alley. I am very excited that it's not like 1 inversion or 2, so I'll take 4, and it appears that each inversion is gonna be a little bit different than the other, which is always a good thing. Now at the moment, HersheyPark has not released a full POV, so it is kind of hard to kind of tell what each element does, but from what we know now, this roller coaster does look really good. Another pro is obviously the airtime. HersheyPark already has Skyrush that features ejector airtime, and then you have Candemonium that features floater airtime. So Wildcat's Revenge is going to feature probably a little bit of both, but definitely some wild airtime moments, and that's never a bad thing. Now one thing HersheyPark is marketing big time for this new roller coaster is the world's largest underflip element. This element does look really awesome, especially when riding in the back row. Another pro is that Wildcat's Revenge is going to draw a lot of people to this back area of the park, really spacing out the crowds, because for years now, this part of the park was never that busy, because all you have over here is Lightning Racer, Laugh Track, as well as the Wild Mouse. So Wildcat's Revenge is going to be the staple attraction for this area of the park, and that is great. Now before I get to my last pro, if you're looking for up-to-date construction updates as well as analysis on Wildcat's Revenge, then you have to follow HersheyPark Enthusiast. This guy eats, sleeps, and breathes HersheyPark, and he knows everything that's going on with the park, and he's there all the time. So be sure to check out his channel because you're not going to want to miss it. 3-train operation. Yes, finally an RMC hybrid that is going to offer 3 trains that doesn't have a mid-course brake run. And I believe this will be the first one. Now if I'm wrong on that, please feel free to correct me, but it appears that this will feature a load station and an unload station, which is great news because this will really help with the capacity for the new coaster. And if you look closely, you can tell this station platform is extremely long, and that is why I feel like you're going to have the load and unload platforms. And also, if you see here, it appears that you can't exit off on the unload side of the train. So kudos for making capacity a main priority for this new coaster. Now some of you might be a little bit underwhelmed with the actual size of Wildcat's Revenge, but we have to remember that this is HersheyPark we're talking about, a very family-oriented park, and I think they learned when they added Skyrush in 2012 that intensity isn't always the best thing for a new roller coaster, hence Candemonium. So I really do feel like this will be a top-tier RMC coaster. It's just not going to be as intense as, let's say, Iron Gwazi or Steel Vengeance, and that's not a bad thing at all. I am just shocked and very excited that this coaster is actually opening in 2023 and not 2024, which leads me to my question for you. With Wildcat's Revenge, where does HersheyPark's coaster lineup rank? Because before Wildcat's Revenge, I had it at number 3, right behind Magic Mountain. But I gotta wonder, now that we have Wildcat's Revenge, and since HersheyPark does not offer any clone coasters, like their major ones at least, do they now offer a better coaster lineup than Magic Mountain? I mean, personally, I think they could. Be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments. I really feel like HersheyPark does offer a better lineup than Kings Island. I love Kings Island's coaster collection, but they don't have one standout coaster in my opinion, while Hershey has Skyrush and now Wildcat's Revenge. Also, what are your thoughts on Wildcat's Revenge? Be sure to let me know in the comments, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Remember to smile today, think positive, and keep riding coasters.